This is Spunky
and Snarky.
and we say,
Welcome to the show. Welcome to our second week in October show.
And our Halloween spooktacular.
Yeah, and we're continuing with our Halloween shenanigans this week as we take a look at Garfield's Halloween Adventure. Garfield and Friends was a show that I loved when I was a kid, and I guess this was a special that came out way before. It's a cute little story.
Yeah, and I wanted to do this one because they don't show this anymore on TV. They used to show this like every year back in the 80s and 90s, but I haven't seen this in years.
I don't know what Halloween shows they show other than The Great Pumpkin.
Well, they show like on Freeform, which used to be ABC Family. They do the 31 Days of Halloween.
So I don't really remember this. I'm sure I've seen it, but it's been a really long time. So anyway, let's dive right in and take a look at Garfield's Halloween Adventure.
Garfield's Halloween Adventure is a 1985 animated special. It's based on the Garfield comic strip by Jim Davis. It originally aired on CBS on October 30th, 1985, and this was the fourth of 12 Garfield television specials made between 1982 and 1991.
So the show opens in the early morning and Garfield is tucked away in his little square box bed and is woken up when the Binky the Clown show starts. And Binky the Clown has this really annoying loud voice and he's yelling for the kids to do jumping jacks, and Garfield just kind of gets up like shocked and like starts doing jumping jacks because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And then he realizes that and goes to turn off the TV when Binky's like, you kids gotta exercise because you're gonna get all the candy tonight. And Garfield turns off the TV and then he's like, what? Candy? What'd you say about candy? And turns back on the TV. And then it's talking about how Halloween is tonight and how you're gonna go trick-or-treating and get all the free candy. And Garfield's like, candy? Like, it's the best fucking thing ever because Garfield's our favorite fat cat who loves to eat all sorts of food. So he's super excited and goes into a song, which is actually sung by Lou Rawls. And it's about how life would be so sweet if every day we could trick or treat. Trick or treat! It's actually a pretty funky song. But the only thing is, I don't know if Garfield's like actually singing the
I think
song.
he's just like lip syncing.
Because like his mouth moves sometimes and sometimes it doesn't move. Or if the song is just like playing in his head and he's just like jamming to it.
I think that's what it's supposed to be, but I don't know.
Which I can relate to because I sing and jam all the time. So Garfield is like, this is the best holiday ever, Halloween, because you don't gotta like deal with pine needles and all this crap. You just get candy and that's all it's all about. And it's like super simple. So he's like, I'm going back to sleep and we'll wake up later and deal with our Halloween shenanigans.
So later he wakes up and talks about getting candy, and he's like super excited. But first he needs to find a costume and a sack to carry his loads of candy. He crawls over with his blanket on his head and scares the crap out of his owner, John Arbuckle, who is carving a jack-o'-lantern. John jumps and the pumpkin like flies into the air and then falls on top of his head.
Can I just say, like, the pumpkin is already, like, the face is carved out into a jack-o'-lantern already, but he's pulling out the seeds, which I didn't get. Like, wouldn't you have already done that?
Yeah. He tells Garfield that he was carving a jack-o'-lantern and that the pumpkin is now ruined. As he pulls it off his head, he unknowingly throws it onto Odie's head. John offers Garfield breakfast, which he originally declines, but, you know, he's Garfield, so he ends up taking all of it.
Yeah, he's like, I'll have a little biscuit. Oh, maybe I'll have some croissant and bacon too. You know what? Never mind.
I'll just take the whole thing.
John Arbuckle, like, has the biggest bitch face ever. He, like, is so done with Garfield's shenanigans that he just, like, constantly is, like, side-eyeing him, like, the whole time.
He loves him, but, yeah, doesn't like putting up with his crap every now and then. So later, Garfield and Odie both manage to scare each other. Odie then leaves, and then Garfield kind of makes fun of him, but then Garfield realizes that if he takes Odie with him, he'll get twice the candy. So, you know, he starts putting his plan into motion, and he tells Odie that all dogs have to help cats get candy candy on Halloween like it's the law or something. And if a good job is done, the dog will get his own piece of candy at the end of the night. So they go up to the attic and look for some costumes, and Garfield sings another song in his actual voice this time by trying on different costumes, and they decide to be pirates at the end.
Yeah, because you can be anything on Halloween. So what should he be? A vampire?
Or like a cat.
Yeah, he dressed up as a black cat, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, because he already is a cat.
Yeah. But yeah, they decide to be pirates, and they got peg legs.
Yeah. Odie has 4, and he ends up knocking all of them off. John thinks it's really cute, and he ends up giving them sacks for the candy. And before they leave, he tells them not to stay out too late.
Of course, Garfield seizes his lasagna while he's leaving.
Oh, of course, with his peg leg.
And his, like, wooden sword.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him, because I would have seized that, too.
Right. So John sends them off trick-or-treating, and they're just walking down the street by themselves. No parental supervision.
Back then, parents would send them out on their own, but that was before, like, stranger danger and all that.
But anyway, Odie's whimpering because he's a little scared. Garfield's like, these are just kids dressed up. Like, there's nothing to be scared of. And he's like, I'm not a scaredy cat. Enter some more Lou Rawls music and a song about how he's not a scaredy cat. So they're walking along, and he's like, I may be lazy, I may be fat, but I ain't no scaredy cat. But he keeps, like, pulling off a ghost costume of a kid, and then, like, sees that there's, like, nothing underneath. Or, like, pulls off a mask of a goblin, and then it still has the goblin face underneath the mask. So, like, then they start screaming. So he really is a scaredy cat. So after the song, they go trick-or-treating at different houses. And at first, the lady gives him, like, 1 piece of candy. And he's like, I'm going to have to plunder your house if you don't give me some more candy. And where I was thinking the lady's going to slam the door in his face, she actually, like, ponies up the candy.
Yeah.
So they get a bunch of candy from a bunch of houses, and they're feeling good. But Garfield wants more. So he's a little greedy for some more candy and is like, oh, there's a bunch of houses just across the river. Like, let's go and get more candy. And he finds a boat, which he commandeers. So they get in the boat, and instead of crossing the river, they end up going downriver. And Garfield's all into his pirate persona and is like, let go of the oars. So Odie does.
He just throws them overboard.
And they're floating in the river. So he's like, because now we're just stuck going with the river. So they just head, like, downstream for, like, ever and ever. I would be eating my candy at this point because might as well die happy.
Well, then they get it checked by John first. You know, that's the rules.
Might have drugs.
Or razor blades.
Can't have anything that's open. They're getting a little like, oh God, what are we going to do? And, like, getting a little depressed that they're just floating away. When suddenly Odie barks and is like, look, there's a mansion over there that they're heading up to.
There's a light over at the Frankenstein place.
Yeah, pretty much. So this place has a little dock, so they pull up. So they go up to the house, and they're, like, looking in, and they see a fireplace going, and they don't see anyone there. Garfield's like, okay, I'm gonna, like, bang the door down, and you're gonna rush in and secure the place. He tries to kick the door down and just hurts his foot. And then he's like, okay, we'll try the silent approach. And he turns the doorknob and it opens. They go in and they don't think anyone's there. So they're like, okay, let's just warm up by the fire. And then suddenly there's a voice and they turn around and there's this creepy ass old dude.
He kind of looked like Sloth from the Goonies, but older.
I kind of appreciate the fact, like, it didn't look like a demon. It seriously just looked like a super old, creepy man.
Yeah.
So, of course, he has to have, like, a creepy story to go with his creepy persona. So he's like, oh, did you know that on this island 100 years ago on Halloween night, there were some pirates and they had too much treasure and were being pursued by the government?
Like the A-Team?
So he's like, they landed here and they stashed their booty in the floorboards and tried to escape, but the government caught them. But they swore 100 years later on midnight of Halloween that they would come back, dead or alive, to retrieve their treasure. They look at the clock and it's like 5 minutes to midnight. And then he's like, I know it happened because they had a cabin boy and that was me. Garfield's like, I don't believe that. And they're gonna go leave. And then they look up and the old man is no longer in the chair. Oh, he gone, yeah.
Oh, he's gone, yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck? He's like 110. How did he scurry out so fast? And then they like go to look out the window and he's like rowing off in the damn boat.
With their candy.
I mean, like if he knew them, wouldn't he be like, hey, ghost?
It's your cabin boy. So the clock chimes midnight, and Garfield and Odie watch as a ghostly ship materializes on the river, while the pirate ghosts emerge on the dock. Garfield and Odie scramble to find a place to hide before deciding on hiding in the cupboard.
Odie tried to hide in a flower pot at first, but that wasn't working out for him too much.
I love Odie. They watch as the pirate ghosts bring the treasure chest from out under the floorboards before Odie all of a sudden has to sneeze, which he does, and then the ghosts are alerted to their presence.
It's like, maybe they didn't see us, but then the ghost like goes through the cabinet and they're like, oh no.
They're like, oh crap. So the ghosts chase them, and Garfield and Odie run towards the dock, and they ended up jumping in the river, and they get swept away by the current. And then
Garfield realizes he can't swim.
and he almost drowns, but Odie saves him and then pulls him to the shore. And then they see their boat there with the candy still intact, thank God. Because that's all he cares
The
about.
old man had some jankety-ass teeth, so he couldn't risk it, I guess.
So Garfield and Odie head home, and they're happy that they got their candy back. Garfield gives Odie one of the sacks of candy.
Reluctantly.
Yeah, because Odie saved his life, and he feels like that's the right thing to do, even though he doesn't really want to. Garfield turns on the TV and then sees the same old man from before with Garfield's pirate hat that he had lost, and he's hosting an all-night pirate movie festival. And Garfield abruptly turns off the TV and goes to bed, and that's the end of the episode. So, thoughts on the episode?
Anything can happen on Halloween.
That's for next week.
Oh, an old man can turn into a pirate. I don't know. It was cute. I was really distracted by the fact that Garfield's mouth didn't move a lot of the time when he was talking. But I guess because he's a cat, it's supposed to be maybe internal monologue.
Yeah, I haven't seen Garfield and Friends in years, so I don't know if that was the same on that show or not.
I kind of was liking the musical numbers. But
yeah, I wouldn't call it the best Halloween special ever, but it was cute for what it was. And you could put that on. The kids would still enjoy it. It's a little scary, I guess, for little kids. But, like, if you're 8 or 7, it's not that scary. I liked it. I would probably watch it again.
Got a trick or treat.
And it got the funky jams.
Garfield's funny, you know, he's a fat cat. He kind of makes fun of himself, but he's just like, I'm sassy and that's just how I am.
All right, do you want to move on to the brain basement?
Yeah, and we'll share some of our Halloween stories.
All right, welcome to the brain basement. We're going to talk a little bit about Garfield, our favorite Halloween candy and costumes and other Halloween things. I love Garfield as a kid. I had, like, the plushie that I think my aunt gave me. And I had the first book that had the, like, comic strips in it and stuff.
Well, we're Italian, so we love lasagna.
That's true.
Yeah, I loved watching Garfield and Friends a lot when I was a kid. Just all the shenanigans. And I liked his sassiness, unlike Normal.
Normal was like, I'm a super cute ball fuzz.
Yeah, who could do no wrong.
And Odie's just kind of dopey, but he's cute.
Yeah, Odie's cute and he knows what's up some of the time, but he just likes being himself.
He just marches to the beat of his own drum.
And I liked that Garfield was sassy, all that kind of stuff. But moving along to some Halloween stuff. Okay, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Probably Snickers or Reese's.
Yeah, the Reese's different seasonal ones are super good, like the pumpkins.
Yeah.
And things. But I'm like, there were certain candies you only really got on Halloween, like the Tootsie Rolls that were like the different flavors.
Oh, I love those. Those are hella good.
Like, I like the vanilla ones.
I like all the flavors.
I felt like back then you'd only get like Milk Duds and like
Whoppers.
Yeah, like you'd only really get those on Halloween. But then you'd get like shit you didn't want either. I didn't really like the little like dum dum lollipops
that
and like
dots.
yeah. And, like some people would give you like black licorice and shit,
Oh
and it was
God,
like,
no.
what's wrong with you?
Sweet tarts, they weren't bad, but they weren't my favorite.
They were all right. I could deal with them, but I didn't really like the super sugary like Smarties and sweet tarts weren't my favorite.
I'd give mounds to my mom because I don't like coconut, so those all went to my mom.
Well,
And
who
then,
gives kids coconut, first of all?
yeah, I don't know. I would give some to my dad
But
too.
I
I don't
guess
know.
as an adult, you realize that people just buy whatever they like, so then whatever's left over, they
Yeah.
get to have.
When I think of Baby Ruth Halloween candies, it reminds me of the earthquake
Oh.
because in 1989 we had a big earthquake here in the SF Bay Area, and my mom had already bought some Halloween candy. And that night of the earthquake, I remember sitting under the table. I remember we ate like Barbie cereal.
Yeah, I remember the Barbie cereal, and then we had some like Halloween candles too that we like
Yeah, because we didn't have
lit.
any electricity because the power went out. And then I remember having like some fun-sized Baby Ruths for dessert.
Yeah.
So whenever I see
Dinner of
fun-sized Baby
champions.
Ruths, I think of Halloween and I think of the earthquake,
Yeah.
which was on October 17th. So it was close to Halloween.
Yeah. Okay, how about favorite Halloween costume?
I have a couple of favorites. One was I dressed up as Batgirl when I was in the 3rd grade. That was 89, so it would have been the year of Batmania, but I dressed up as like 60s Batgirl, but it didn't look like how her costume was. It was just like blue and it had like the little cowl and stuff, and it was really cute. Like our neighbor across the street had made it for me. And then another one of my favorites, which was store-bought, but I still love. When I was in the 5th grade, I was Sherlock Holmes. And I had like little glasses and like a little fake pipe and stuff, and I love that. You know, I'm a mystery lover, so what about you?
I think one of my favorite ones was like I did a Bride of Frankenstein once.
Oh, I remember that.
I don't know. I just really liked the like it was like the white dress, and I don't know. I just really liked it. Also, I remember when you and me dressed up as witches, and our mom made us these cool capes with like
Oh,
the
yeah.
inlay had like some bats and like stuff.
It
and
was like red kind of satiny material with like bats and moons and stuff on it.
yeah, because we lived really close to our elementary school, like just like down the block. So our mom would like take us out and let us change into our Halloween costumes at lunch and like go back for like when they'd have the like Halloween parade.
Yeah,
and
because
stuff.
at school you would have like the first half of the school day would be like regular school, and then like it would be lunchtime, and like your parents could pick you up and you can go home and change in your costume. And then the second half of the day we'd have a little party in our classroom, and then we'd have like a Halloween parade where like all the like kids would like march around the schoolyard in their costumes. All the parents would be there like taking pictures and stuff.
Yeah, so that was our fun Halloween memories.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to our music spotlight where we'll be doing some creature feature songs.
All right, welcome to our music spotlight, where today's topic is creature feature songs, which is basically the different Hollywood monsters.
So number 1 we picked was Cliff Richard's Devil Woman. She's just a devil woman.
with evil on her mind.
She's just a devil woman.
She's gonna get ya. Love it. The song reminds me of The Young Ones because the character Rick, played by Rick Mail, who I love, R.I.P. His character loved Cliff Richard. He would always say like Cliff Richard things, and it's really funny. I love that show.
All right, moving on to number 2, which is Alice Cooper. Feed my Frankenstein.
This song reminds me of Wayne's World because he sings this in the movie when they go to the concert, and it's really funny. And it's a good song. I love Alice Cooper too. Number 3 is a little obscure song, but I put it on because I like it. It's a group called Electric Guitars, and their song's called Wolfman Tap. And this is like a funky little song. It's about Wolfman and tap dancing pretty much. It's got like a cool groove to it. I really like it.
Number 4 is Lady Gaga and some Show Me Your Teeth, 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 Teeth.
Which we thought could represent vampires.
And Dracula, because
Take a bite of my bad girl meat.
bad girl meat.
Show me your teeth. Number 5 is one of my favorite bands that I've been waiting to put on one of these lists, and here's the chance, because it's the 70s British punk band / 80s goth band, The Damned, with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 'Cause I'm normal outside, he's evil inside. I'm Dr. Jekyll and he's Mr. Hyde. I love the songs from the Black Album, which came out in 1980. And I love the Dan. Dave Vanion's his own little vampire. Love him. Love this group. It's great. And our honorable mention, we actually have 2 this week because, why not?
Because we felt like it. Because you can't have a creature feature list without having
The classic. Bobby Boris Pickett and the Crypt Keepers with the Monster Mash.
He did the mash. It caught on in a flash. He did the mash.
He did
the Monster Mash. Whoa.
It's a great little fun song.
Monster Mash. Whoa. I mean, it's great.
And then our second honorable mention is one of my favorite K-pop bands.
It's your only favorite K-pop band.
Well, that's true.
It's a wonderful K-pop band, Big Bang, with their song, Monster.
I love you,
baby, I'm not a monster. This was a jam, and the video is like really
super
cool.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Top, my boo. Looking all fierce with his cape, GD.
The day sung with one sleeve and some bondage straps.
Yeah.
Need I say more?
Taeyong with his sushi hair.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good times.
And that's it for our music spotlight. If you want to check out these songs in full, you can check them out on our website.
Thanks for joining us for another spooktacular week in October. Next week we'll have more Halloween fun, and we hope you enjoy. If you want to leave any spooky comments for us,
you can email us at spunkyandsnarkyshow@gmail.com. You can check us out on our website, which is spunkyandsnarkyshow.wordpress.com. And you can leave us a voice message on our Anchor page, which is anchor.fm/spunkyandsnarkyshow. We also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you want to reach us through there also. Thanks again for listening, and have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. Don't be a creeper.
Unless it's Halloween.
Which it will be soon. So we'll see you next week.
All right,
Peace.
bye.